they asked me to go on stage and present an award, but that other person refused to go on the stage with me because of who I am. This film is gonna change your career. And I'm like, are you serious? It wasn't like in your face racism. It was just like, you're at the bottom of the pile. I think because they were so conservative, that all I wanted to do was just like burst out of this box that, you know, I was put in. I like that. I want a man that wants to protect me. You speak Hindi? I'm like, yes. I work in the Hindi film industry. Of course I speak Hindi. And it's like, okay, ab hum Hindi mein baat karenge. And I'm like, why does this have to be an announcement? I mean, who doesn't want to see Hrithik Roshan without a shirt on? But for me, I'm thinking, if you're paying attention to me, I'm doing it. I turned around and smacked my face right into the door. And she's like, are you okay? I was like, no, just my ego is very hurt right now, but I'm completely fine.
Hi, welcome to In the Ring. I'm in conversation with an entrepreneur, with an actor, and also somebody I have ardently liked over the years. I've been wanting to interview her for ever since I can remember. So it's a wonderful privilege to have her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please meet Sunny Leone. So my first question to you is, first of all, thank you for being part of this chat show. My first question to you is, what would you tell a 13-year-old Sunny Leone today when you look back?
Don't be so hard on your parents. Don't be such an
but why? Give me like, was it you know, teenage years, transitioning? What was it? Why were you so hard on you? Is it because you came from a very conservative family?
So I came from a family, they were pretty conservative Punjabi household. We went to Gurdwaras on Saturdays and Sundays, and had to do kirtan, had to do all these different things. And, you know, I think because they were so conservative, that all I wanted to do was just like burst out of this box that, you know, I was put in. And I'm not talking about like they took us to all of our basketball games, we played lots of sports, we're always really active. I think it was more like emotional, like wanting to break out of this box and being able to either talk about feelings or talk about this and that, you know, concern you, where, you know, they, you know, for them, the boys were the devil, and do not talk to them. As soon as I hit puberty, it was do not talk. You're not talking to any more boys. You're not allowed to go out. You're not allowed to go to your school prom. You're not allowed to go to like a basketball match or a football match. You're staying home. I'm like, why? I was like, I'm missing out. And I think I just acted out more because of those restrictions.
So do you speak to your parents about that? Why were you so hard on me? And would you try not to? You know, because we all carry generational trauma. You know, your parents probably grew up that way because their parents were like that, and so on and so forth, the entire genealogy. So would you say, you know, like, do you have conversations with them? Hey, why were you so...
I wish I could. They're both not alive anymore.
Okay,
they died a long time ago.
But did you have any kind of conversation?
No, I never even got to that point where, you know, I felt so secure with myself and where I was in my life journey and, you know, my business and everything, that I could go back and have that very lighthearted conversation and say, hey, I'm sorry it was such an ass to you, but why couldn't we do these things? So I didn't get that chance.
So you all didn't live together, obviously, because of work and all. You lived far apart.
I lived an hour away. As soon as I turned 18, I was sayonara. I'm out. I'm free. I'm an adult. I can do what I want. And that's actually when my relationship with my parents became a lot more smoother, you know, because we weren't in each other's faces anymore.
So would you say your entire life then was an act of rebellion?
Yeah, I think probably still am rebelling in some way or
Like
another.
what?
Somewhere. No, I mean, according to other people, you know, like in their views. But yeah, I don't know about rebellion. I think it was just more, I wanted to be my own person and I wanted to do my own thing. And, you know, I only had, because it was my choice and not, you know, a choice obviously that my parents would make, but I was going by choices that I thought were okay in those moments and building a business or, you know, doing what I needed to do. And obviously I had a lot of fun doing it and traveling, you know, all over America and all over the world. But it was a great learning experience.
If I asked you if you have to relive your life all over again, would you do all of it all over again?
I think so, because I love where I am now. And if there wasn't that, then there wouldn't be me sitting with you today. So I do think that everything that we do leads us into who we're going to become. And, you know, I love my life. I love everything about it.
I want to know, like, what were the kind of subjects you did in college, and what attracted
Well,
you?
I wanted to be a nurse.
Okay.
So I was going to college, and it wasn't until I got to college that my grades became really good.
Oh.
But in high school, I was like a C student all the way across. And when I got to college, I realized, oh, I do like school if it's, you know, subjects that I like. And maybe that's all children and all young people. So it was definitely something that was like, you know, exciting to be able to learn. And I also, you know, learned a lot about businesses as well around that time.
Did you have any kind of peer pressure? What were your friends like? Were the teachers cool? Were they unkind? What are the kind of, like, anything has that, there's a lasting impression?
Like during grade school, where I was from in Canada, that was a little bit difficult sometimes, because my brother and I were the only Indian children in the school. And there might have been one Puerto Rican, one African American, one Chinese, Filipino, like, you know, Asian child, and that was it. And that was as far as, you know, that's as far as diversity got, you know. And there were times, like, my teacher hated me. She hated me so much, and I had her every other year. And
because of your rebellion, or just because you were sassy?
No, not because I was sassy, just because I wasn't like everybody else. That was it, you know.
Like what? Give me an example. I mean,
I was the only brown child in this, you know, like.
Oh, so you faced a lot of racism?
I wouldn't say like it's a lot of racism. It wasn't like in your face racism. It was just like, you're at the bottom of the pile. Or you're not getting the pen until you write perfectly. Or, you know, like, I feel like she just didn't like me. Maybe it was just me. I don't know.
So were they unkind in their demeanor and all of that?
I think it was just like neutral, but not like happy. So it was interesting. And then once I got to America, during my first year of high school in California, that was very difficult. I was the child that was, you know, in the bathroom, locked the door and ate my lunch because it was very scary.
Why?
I think it was new school, and California is very cliquey. And, you know, by high school, you've already made all your friends and you have your little groups and your little cliques. And, you know, it took me a good, I'd say like a week and a half to make my first friend. Because they just weren't friendly, you know, like not like,
And you were living
Southern
alone.
Californians are not very friendly.
And you were living alone at that point?
No, it was with my parents.
Parents,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. We moved. That was when I was a teenager.
So then how did you start gravitating towards friends, and what kind of friends did you make?
Well, I gravitated to anybody who wanted to be my friend at that point, but I had different friends from all the different groups that were, you know, in school, and, you know, I gravitated towards, you know, business-minded, like after-school programs or...
It helped you to become an entrepreneur?
Absolutely, yeah.
Tell me the kind of conversations you had with your closest buddies. Is there something that has stayed, like an incident or an event that has really stayed with you?
One club that I was part of in high school called FBLA, it was called Future Business Leaders of America. And I always remember like them teaching us the basics of, you know, either how to dress and how to act and how to give an interview at that time. It was long time ago. And, you know, what to do in certain situations while you're at work, or, you know, just learning basic business stuff. And I feel like that really did make an impact of how I conducted myself, for sure.
What is the kind of conversation? You probably discovered your dating life then. Suddenly, oh my God, there are boys all over. So how did you grapple with all of that? You know, there was this act of rebellion in you, and then you probably wanted to date X, Y, whoever, like all growing up girls of 15 and 16 and 17 and 18. Was that also a tough phase, and was it a happy phase? How do you recall, how do you look back at all of that?
I don't look back at it as tough or difficult. I never had any boyfriends that were rude or mean or abusive or that were too clingy or too possessive. So everybody they were all like nice boys.
What are the
my parents didn't like any of them, but you know, that's all parents are never gonna like your little girl's boyfriend.
What were the red flags and green flags in a relationship for you then?
Oh, then?
And has it changed ever since?
I don't know. I think when you're young and like your hormones are going and like you think that boy is so cute and so nice, I don't think there are many red flags because you're only going off of like these like puppy love feelings and that's it, which is completely normal. And I think, you know, all young people should have experiences like this too, as long as they're not hurtful or, you know, damaging or traumatizing. But they should have like these cute moments where they go to the movies with a boyfriend or, you know, I remember I went to see the Titanic with one of my boyfriends and had to lie to my parents about where I was going. But it was just that innocent, you know, and like all these small little things.
What was your relationship with your siblings like?
With my brother, pretty typical growing like in our younger ages, always fighting. We're 2 years apart, so we fight like cats and dogs. And but as we got older, we became really, really close.
And then Karenjit Kaur became Sunny Leone and all of that. Did you ever feel a loss of identity? Because identity is what defines us. It's very important to people. Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, there was one time where one of my boyfriends was saying, Karen, and I didn't hear it. He said it like 3-4 times. He said my name and I didn't hear it. And then I had like a moment in my brain because I was working so much and traveling and doing so many different things all at once. And then I said, this is a problem that I can't hear my name. And then I started, you know, like reading different things and just trying to ground myself back down, and it worked. And I've kept that thought in my head. Like,
so have you sort of obliterated your identity, or would you rather be known as Sunny Leone? What is the?
No, my husband calls me Karen.
Oh, really?
My really close friends here in Mumbai also call me Karen. My brother obviously calls me Karen. My auntie and uncles, they call me Karenjit or Karan. So, I mean...
You speak a lot of Punjabi at all?
I understand Punjabi, but, you know, speaking, because I don't have somebody around me all the time speaking, it's sitting there though.
What's your dating phase when you met Daniel, for example, I'm saying? So what was it like? How long did you all date before you finally decide, okay, this is the guy I want to get married and all?
We dated 3 years before we got married. And I met Daniel in Las Vegas through a friend. And he started messaging me and, you know, sending me flowers. Like, I'd be in a random place like this and some stranger will come by and like hand me a bouquet of roses, or he would send things home because he was in New York, I was in California. And he would do all these sweet things, and it was a really beautiful courtship before we went out on our first date. So he's a good boy.
And then were you a difficult girlfriend because maybe of your past experiences, or maybe because you had a certain, you know, girls go through that rebellious phase where I don't want to get married till, you know, X amount of years, or till I'm age 30 or age 35 and stuff. Did you have any of that?
No, I didn't do any of that. I think, you know, we just went with the flow of our relationship. We knew that we had fallen in love with each other, that we wanted to be together, and again, dated for 3 years, and then we got married. But, you know, I think every couple who ends up being a serious couple, you have to go through those teething periods of what's okay for you, what's not okay for me, what's normal, what's not normal, or, you know, things that we like, things that we don't like. Do we get along when a crisis situation happens? How does your partner handle it? How do they nurture you? How do they take care of you? And vice versa. So I think every couple that ends up being super serious will go through those moments and those arguments and those fights. And
did you ever break up and say, hey, this is not working and, we should do our own things before we get back together? Do you have stuff like that?
I didn't have that with Daniel, no.
No?
And what were the things you absolutely hated about him and certain things you absolutely loved? Was there anything like, can you give me a specific example? Like, how do you navigate this relationship?
I think that I was more the troublemaker than Daniel.
Like that, give me an example.
I was always, I would do things that I think is like normal. I don't know. I don't even remember what the fight would be about. Maybe I got wasted one night and he's like, I don't want to take care of you like this. I think that bothered him. So it's like, all right, fine. I won't get completely obliterated around you.
But did you ever cook for him?
I do cook.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to cook.
No?
No, he burns food. But we all have that understanding. It's
so
okay.
How long have you all been together now since marriage and
since we've been
3
together,
years dating and then?
We've been together since 2008.
Wow, so
that's a long time.
15 years.
Yeah, it's a
so
long time.
what has changed? What has not changed?
What's not changed is how he's completely selfless. He's been like that since the very beginning, and always caring, always puts me first. Now it's myself and our children. So those things have not changed at all. I think that we've grown very different from when we first met. Our outlooks of life, what we believe in, things that we're interested in. So obviously those things have changed, but his core personality is still the same. He's still so sweet to me and so loving, very caring, very protective. And I like that. I want a man that wants to protect me and, keep me away from, bad people or, certain situations.
How did his family react when you were dating and decided to get married? How were they?
The first time I met Daniel's mother, so he had just gotten over a breakup, and I was the next girlfriend, and we were in New York, and he got really sick. When he used to work at his father's factory, he would get exhaustion to the point where he had to go to the hospital and get fluids and IV and all this. So the first time I met her, because he had to go to the hospital, my hair was all a mess. I had a hoodie on. I was sitting on the floor because he was getting IV and sleeping, and there was no chair, there's nowhere to sit. So I sat down on the floor, and I'm playing video games. And the first thing I see is this beautiful patent leather shoe. And then I looked up, beautiful, freshly blown out hair, and a gigantic rock, and dressed like $1 million. And I was like, oh, I'm so and she looked down at me. I was like, okay, I'll just leave the room and give you guys a minute. And that was the first time that I met her. I had a few embarrassing moments with his mother. And then the first time I stayed at the family house, Daniel was at the factory, and I was saying bye to her, walk out the door. And this is like an immaculately clean house. Like, it's very intimidating. And everything is like perfectly in its spot. And her front door was all glass, like from ceiling to floor. And I'm saying bye. I was like, bye, thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. I turned around and smacked my face right into the door. And she's like, are you okay? I was like, no, just my ego is very hurt right now, but I'm completely fine. But yeah, I had a...
Were you nervous?
I was, of course, because you're meeting,
the family,
the mother of, the person that you're completely head over heels for, and you want that family to like you.
Was there like one moment where you said, okay, this is it, this is the family I want to be married into, or this is the man I want? One sort of breakthrough moment or epiphany?
I knew that I wanted Daniel to be the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. When my mother passed away and he was there for me, I was a complete mess. I believe he probably saved my life. And then shortly after, my father found out he had cancer. And he literally was there every single day. We'd take my dad to chemo, pick him up, and every day when he was in the hospital, he was there every single day. And you just know, like, if there's one person who's going to be with you and love you and care for you during sickness and health, and when hell freezes over, it was going to be, you know, Daniel for me. And I truly believe when he would say that he loves me, that he actually meant it, because of the amount of love and care he gave myself, my brother, and my dad was amazing. Like, he just is very, knock on wood, rare to find people like this.
So how did you deal with a high maintenance girlfriend like you? Were you very high maintenance, and were you mercurial and all? Because I always see like your life has been an act of rebellion. So how did he handle that? It's like walking on eggshells, no? Having to date you. You think so?
No, I'm such a nice person.
That you are. That you are.
I'm very generous with my love. I think we were just on the same page. I think that when you go through certain things in life, that's a phase of your life. And then, you know, there's people who you meet who bring out the best in you, and there's people you meet who bring out the worst in you. And I think that when we met, we brought out the best of our personalities to each other. I was not high maintenance.
You made your debut with the Bhatts, and how did Bollywood welcome you? Was there a certain amount of skepticism?
I call
Also,
it
you
Bollywood boot camp.
boot camp.
My first film.
Also, you didn't have any previous film background. There was no nepotism. So how were you treated on par? I mean, obviously Pooja is an extremely secular, democratic, and very, very giving person. But how was the first ever experience?
Yeah, I call my first film here Bollywood boot camp. I learned a lot, made lots of mistakes. And I think the thing that always comes back is, you know, my business background and Daniel's business background. And through those mistakes, we were able to harness all that attention that was happening in that moment, and harness all of the different things, and ride that wave, you know, and not necessarily, like, people might think, why did she do this film, or why did she do that song, or why did she do this? But for me, I'm thinking, if you're paying attention to me, I'm doing it. You know, this is the name of the game. We're in the entertainment industry. And if I'm in your face, whether it's good, bad, the ugly, you know, whatever your perceptions are, that's okay, because, you know, we work in a world where staying relevant it's important. You know, the choices that you make. And are those choices okay for me at that time? They were amazing for me at that time. And some things worked and some things didn't work. And, you know, we have to keep working and moving forward. You can't wait for that perfect film to come around, because it's not going to happen. Or it's going to take a very long time for it to happen. You know, so I wasn't in social circles, but I was in my own work circle. So that's one thing that, you know, I'm not necessarily good about, is being a part of all these, like, different social circles here. And I've made
cliques and camps.
Yeah. But I'm okay with that, because whenever I meet anybody, everybody's so nice and cordial, and, you know, they're very, like, you get, like, warm vibes from them. I don't get any cold feelings from, I don't think, like, many people at all.
So when you were working on Pooja's Jism too, and what number one, what was the reception like, and what were your tough days? What were your good days like?
Sure. So when I came here and I started doing, like, pre-production with this film, I sat every single day learning the lines, because I never had to learn lines in my life, and that was definitely a challenge. And it's very daunting when you look at, you know, a large script and thinking, okay, I have to say all this in a language that I've never spoken in, because we spoke in Punjabi growing up, and we watched Hindi films, and I could understand bits and pieces of that because Punjabi and Hindi are sort of similar, but I've never learned dialogue ever. So that was definitely challenging. And
were you a Bollywood buff? Like, what are the kind of films you grew up on, and, you know, people, like, careers and actors that you really sort of looked up to? Was there anything of that?
My parents watched like a Hindi film, maybe on a weekend or like a holiday weekend, they would go to the store and rent a film, and we'd have pizza. I remember my memories was, oh, we get pizza tonight, and I get to eat in the living room and not at the dining table. This is the best night ever. And we'd set up like pillows and blankets on the floor and, you know, watch a film together. Of course, my brother and I probably fell asleep through half of it. But my parents really liked watching the films. And I remember one film, as I got older, I watched with my mother, and both of us, when Aamir would cry, we both were crying. And we're like, what's happening? And, you know, one of the movies I saw growing up that I loved was Kalnayak, Madhuri, when, you know, during the songs. And so the memories are always, with Bollywood, are always attached to family. So it's a positive memory, which is really nice. So, you know, when I got to this set, I had to learn all these dialogues, and it was, you know, it wasn't easy. I had to put in a lot of work, and it worked out for the best, and the film made money, so it was good for me. And yeah, I call it Bollywood boot camp.
Were you yelled at by Pooja ever? Because Pooja has this mercurial, I mean, she's lovely and all that, but she can also be really mercurial. Did you get yelled at by any of your directors?
No, I wouldn't say yelled at, but I'm sure she was frustrated with me at certain times. Maybe I didn't, you know, deliver properly or something. But I always wanted to do my best. And I feel like they could feel that, you know, even if maybe my best wasn't that good at that moment. I really did learn a lot on this set, for sure. Absolutely. I had to give myself a couple of pep talks going, you're going to get your shit together, you're going to go back in there, stop crying like a baby, and go.
Oh, you.
Like, you get like so frustrated, and then, you know, and so then I was like, all right, get your shit together, go back in, you got this, you do this, and you know, you just do it.
How do you look back at the experience? Is there anything that you would have done differently in your debut film? Anything that you would?
I think the biggest thing would have been if we just had like a really nice, honest person tell us, you're going to need a lot of patience. You are going to have to adjust your mind not to how you think in the US and how you think of business in the US. Because in America, everything's it's just a transaction. It's all in black and white, you know, like, but in India, everything is like, it's different, and there's a lot more emotions, and there's a lot of feelings, and, you know, people get offended, or, you know, Americans, we don't get so offended, you know, like, we don't get offended by simple little things, you know, and when you're here, people do get offended. You have to like navigate through not only business but also emotion, and you know, that's something that took a little bit of time to understand.
When you did these item songs and all, which became hugely popular than say the songs the heroines did or whatever, did the male gaze ever bother you, or did you ever feel sexualized in that sense, or were your co-stars intimidated by you, or, you know, were the heroines?
I don't know if co-stars were intimidated by me. I don't know. I don't know. I don't pick up on that energy very well, unless they blatantly say I'm very nervous, and then I grab them, I shake them a little bit, and go, "Don't be nervous. We'll be just fine."
But did you have any I mean, you've done Tamil, you've done Telugu, you've done Hindi, you've done Malayalam, but did you have any particular favorite song or a favorite co-star of yours while working on all these?
You know, I think like the first few songs that I did, they were pretty special. You know, like Baby Doll and Layla Mein Layla, and like Pani Wala Dance, and like all those, like I don't know, it's just a different time. And I think the industry was in a different space at that time too, where the songs could be bigger than the film. And
which in your case was a lot of...
Yeah, and it was great, because even if I wasn't cast for that film, I still could keep myself within the industry with this amazing song that was given, and that was amazing. You know, it still is amazing. You know,
Did you have any do's and don'ts when you signed a maybe it may be an item song, or it may be like a full-fledged film which you recently did with Hamish. So are there any do's and don'ts when you sign a film or do a song that, of course, other than being paid handsomely, but are there any
I think it's like nonsensical sexual things or sensual things. I think when I read it or it's shown to me, I'm like, no, it's like, we're not doing that. Or, like they'll...
How do you communicate with your directors?
There's like an expectation of what's going on in someone's mind. And then, there's reality of what's going to happen. There's always that wish list. But I think that there's a fine line of where, for me, what I think looks beautiful and sensual or sexy versus what they think is beautiful and sensual and sexy. So we have to like come somewhere in the middle where they get what they want, I get what I want, and we're all happy. And by the way, that took a little while for me to learn. And I learned, like, if I just shut my mouth for 5 minutes, and get what I want anyways. So it was...
Has anything happened? You don't need to name the film, or has there anything happened where shooting stopped midway, or you were not comfortable with the way a choreographer was picturizing a song or a sequence, or has anything happened?
So what I learned very early on is to gather all the information of what a director or a choreographer wants beforehand. Because surprising me on set is not necessarily gonna work. Because if you don't talk about it and you want something that is like over the top sexy or sensual, then let's talk about it. Because, I might be okay with that, but if we talk about it and we go through the sequence of events or, what you want your shots to be, then I might have another suggestion where you're still getting what you want and I also feel comfortable. So I learned that really early on, that is definitely the way that I am comfortable moving forward. And we live in the entertainment industry. People are idolized because they're super sexy or, very sensual, or they're very cool looking. I mean, who doesn't want to see Hrithik Roshan without a shirt on? I definitely do. So, but if he's not comfortable doing it, then we're all missing out. But I mean, even for him, he must feel comfortable with that, and that's okay. And it's the same thing with females, like there's an understanding that we all agree that we work in an industry where you look good and you wear beautiful clothes and it's supposed to be beautiful or sexy or sensual, whatever that character is supposed to be. So
you've reached that point after a lot of
I learned that very early on, that the best thing to do is let's talk about it. Let's lay it all out on the table. What do you want? What are your expectations? What are you looking from me? Let's agree on it, and let's not deter from this agreement. And everybody's happy.
But have you had occasions where you're not on the same, forget being on the same page, the director or the choreographer is reading a different book altogether? Have you had such?
Yeah, then I go, Rajani. I'm like, we have to have a conversation before I say something that might sound offensive. So you go be the bad guy.
You sound like this tough as nails entrepreneur. But before I come to your entrepreneur bit, how do you dance so seamlessly? How does it all come? So like, did you have to work
good
a
editing?
lot on it? It's a
I'm just kidding. It's good editing. No, but I do believe in rehearsing for as much as possible. But this new trend that's happening, which I don't like, is shoot a song in a day, rehearse for only 2 days, and look like $1 million on that one day. It's like one chance or go home. It's a lot of pressure. So I feel like songs are going back into the idea of like taking a little bit more time for rehearsals and shooting something that is like really amazing. But I do like taking my time and learning the steps properly until I get them. I dance for I like put the songs on. My kids dance in their own way, and then I practice my steps, and we're getting more rehearsal time.
How do your kids react to all your dances and all of that? What do they say? Is it like, I remember Madhuri Dixit's kids, very, very little, looking at her on the screen and then looking back at her and, you know, not quite able to. Do you have that? Do you have that with your kids?
You know, they don't really watch a lot of Bollywood. They don't know a lot of people in the industry at all. Like, they don't watch anything. So they've seen a few things of mine. The last time I tried to show one of my sons one of my songs, he was like, yeah, okay, can we go back to playing with Legos? I'm like, thanks a lot. So their interest is totally different. You know, I think as they get older and then they're around, you know, their schoolmates who do watch Bollywood and who are very much into dancing or this and that, then they might become interested in what I do.
And they grow up a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because of social media, we live in such an ageist world. So how do you deal with that? And secondly, mental health. These two, how do you grapple with both of them?
I think when it comes to looks and everything, just recently I was thinking, you know, when you say like everybody looks the same, even like some of the actresses that have been around for a really long time, they're also in great shape. It's just a part of what happens is it just becomes a part of your lifestyle. So this is my lifestyle, to exercise and eat really well. And I mean, I don't know about other people, not party all night long and then, you know, stumble out of bed the next day and, you know, feeling good. And I believe we're going into an era where people are really looking at longevity as their, like, to change their lifestyles and being able to live longer, live healthier. And I mean, of course, we all want to look our best, and we all look back at that photo that was 10 years ago and go, why don't I look like this anymore?
But is there pressure for you, like, oh my God, I've got an extra wrinkle, oh my God, I've got an extra white hair?
Yeah, when if I see a white hair, I don't have many, there's like 4 of them. I look and I go, ugh, go away. But yeah, I mean, there is that pressure definitely to look good and like, I don't know, when I look in the mirror, I want to go, do I feel good in what I'm wearing? Do I feel beautiful? According to what I feel is beautiful for my age, and I think it matters. And I think whatever you want to do to get there, you should do it. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm not someone that's going to tell you, if you want to go get some filler and Botox, well, honey, go get it. It's fine. Go enjoy. You have one life, you have one body. As long as you're taking care of yourself, you are doing what you need to in life, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, some of these people go, I have nothing done. Oh, well, wait till somebody like dissects your face. You definitely have something going on, so stop lying. But, you know, it's all about feeling good in whatever way that you want to.
You mentioned lying. Is there a lot of lying and deception in this profession? Do you feel that?
I think some people, when you watch some of their interviews, you're going, I don't know about that. But that's all about the perception. That's their, like, part of their game, or that's part of who they think that they need to be, or that's like what they want people to perceive them as, or, you know, how they look at them. They need people to see them living this larger than whatever life, and that I have X, Y, and Z. But if you break somebody down in their personal life, they might not be like that. It's like Los Angeles. Everybody, you know, drives around in a beautiful, swanky car, but when you get to their house, it's in a little tiny box. You know, so it's all about the perception of what you want people to see.
How do you deal with, say, social media, for example? You know, the incessant trolling, like, you know, it's okay, we are much adults, like I tell all of them, we've passed that phase where any of this matters to us. But kids, you know, this doomsday scrolling, and their brains are so overstimulated, and, you know, you read all kinds of weird comments, or, you know, there is pressure for you to put up X amount of pictures on social media because it's great for branding, and you need to do XYZ things and all. So does that take a toll on your mental health in any way?
So for me, social media is business. And that was one thing that I did have in my pocket, was the ability to promote something and I would get eyeballs on it. And that's, when you're looking at brand endorsements, even films, anything that's going on social media, you see contracts, film contracts, TV contracts, endorsement brands, all those things come with a clause for this social media, because that is currency in the world we live in. So I believe that if you're not on social media, you're just missing out. So the trolls, I love the trolls. Keep looking at me, trolls, and keep commenting. It doesn't bother me at all. Of course, we have like a full team that has put up certain blockers and censors on material that they post back or words that they use. It just doesn't get put on my social media pages. So you won't even get there. So there's no point to try and be a jerk or say something obscene or say something that would physically harm somebody or send pictures that are inappropriate. All that gets blocked. So you have that ability on social media.
And now tell me about
You're going to ask me to post this on social media.
No, I won't ask you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I want people to see the interview.
Tell me about your mental health. We go through so many ups and downs and all of that. Did you ever go through therapy? Like you said, you had this rebellious phase and then you had various different phases. So did you ever go through therapy to sort of understand, get to know yourself better, deal with maybe anger, deal with emotional catharsis? Did you ever go through any of that?
I didn't actually see somebody, but whenever I felt low, I turned to a couple of books and really just tried to ground myself and realize what's important in life. So when you lose both your parents, your outlook of life is completely different. The small things don't bother you because it's actually just nonsense and it's just noise. And, our experiences shape who we are. So that's why the trolling and people that don't like me, or I'm not in, certain social circles, or I'm not friends with so-and-so, all these things don't bother me because it's not relevant. Their negativity doesn't need to come into my space.
Tell me about kids. Before you had your kids, you went through adoption, and was surrogacy, tough for you in any sense? Also, as you, the laws in India, I'm guessing, are very different from the laws abroad. So you had to grapple with all of that. Was it tough, finding a surrogate and, doing the entire process? How long did it all take? And what do you learn? What do you learn from all these things?
Yeah, it took a long time. So we did our surrogacy in America, and we had 6 beautiful embryos. We had 4 girls and 2 boys. And in that time of going through 2 IVF transfers, we lost the 4 girls. And also in that time, we were just around the corner here at an all-girls ashram. And I turned to Daniel, I said, why don't we just adopt a little girl? So he took a second and he's like, okay, let me find out. Let's look it up. And that's, where it all started. So we found out we were having 3 kids all at once.
And how, what kind of mom were you? Like this patient mom, or were you this hellraiser mom? And when you do stuff do you think, oh shit, I'm actually behaving like how my mom was? And do you feel that way?
I don't feel that way, but I have a lot of discipline in our house. I have 3 kids. It's not 1, it's 3.
Raising at the same time.
So I have twin boys and a 9-year-old girl, and it can be crazy and it can be hectic. And so I felt like if I have a schedule and I have all these things set, that I'll be able to be happier with what's going on. My kids know when I'm going to be home. They also know when I'm going to be working. They know their schedules. And young children thrive on scheduling. They thrive on sleep and scheduling, and it helps their development. So I'm like that. Like, I know what my kids are doing right now.
What's an average day in the life of Sunny Leone and her kids like?
If there's no work, it's so much fun. I mean, with them, I'm home all day with them, and we'll do certain activities, or we'll go somewhere. I'll take them to one of these play areas around here. We'll do art. We'll hang out. We'll go swimming. We'll go watch a movie. So when I'm home with them. I'm not off doing something else while they're home and I'm not working. When I'm working though, like today, I spend the morning with them, and I'm here. But I'll go home and I'll be home for dinner and their bedtime and lullabies, and sit with them and talk to them. So
I mean, what are the fears that you face when you bring up kids? Today, kids are fully aware of what's going on. Like the stuff that they say, does it sort of surprise you?
Yeah, there's one comment that really surprised me that my boys came home saying. They're like, "My body, my choice." I'm like, what does that mean? My body, my choice.
All of 7.
Yeah, 7 years old, because I'm thinking, what is the school teaching them about my body, my choice? Because in the US, my body, my choice means something completely different. It has different connotations to it. So here it's something, totally innocent. They're not teaching them about, transitioning, or they're not teaching them about, abortion or blah, blah, blah. Where in the US, that's what they are teaching them in schools. And it's, a little scary. So I was fine with, all right, my body, my choice, it's okay.
But does it scare you? Yeah, like I remember somebody saying in LA, said, don't send the kids to the toilet unescorted, because there are predators all around.
That was something that was happening last summer. We got word that there's predators actually waiting in the bathrooms and in public bathrooms. So we never sent our kids ever alone. And even when they were in a camp during the summer in Dubai, it was just the 3 of them. So we had to tell the boy, to go, if your sister needs to go to the bathroom, you're going to walk your sister to the bathroom. If you have to go to the bathroom, your sister and your brother are going to walk you to the bathroom. And you guys are going to be there for each other. So that's one nice thing about having multiples, is that they can really look after each other.
And parenting, do you all take turns? Is Daniel a good father? Is he a good parent?
Absolutely. He's very, very hands-on. And I love that we both genuinely really wanted to have children, and we really want to be a part of their lives in every single way. So we are there for them, drop-offs, pickups, homework, scheduling, spelling class, all of it. So, and it feels good, like they'll grow up remembering that their mommy and daddy picked them up from school and dropped them in the morning. Something so simple, but they'll hold that in their memory.
Are there like non-negotiables for parenting? You do this, you won't do this. Like, how do you deal with preteens?
I don't know. I'm not there yet. I'm quite scared.
But do you have like this wonderful thing they came from school and said this? But are there days when it's absolutely unmanageable and you have to sit them down and say, listen, this is okay, this is not okay? Is there stuff like that?
I'm not sure. My daughter does have like preteen questions about, I don't know, she saw a sanitary pad advertisement because it comes on YouTube. So when she saw that, she's like, what is that for? And I'm like, okay, I don't want to get emotional about it, so it's better I just give her like the information of what it is, and talk to her that, listen, everybody's bodies change and this is what happens, and keep it at that. I'm like, your body is changing, just like, things are changing on your body. Eventually something like this will happen with you too, and it's okay. It's not a big deal. Some people make it a big deal, but it's not a big deal because it's just a part of life, I think you just have to throw the information out and then wait for what question comes back.
And how do you deal with the other mothers of kids? I'm sure like a lot of schools have these mothers groups and WhatsApp group. How do you deal with all of that?
So there's lots of WhatsApp groups. I have one for the building, one for first grade, one for fourth grade. Then there's their individual class, like there's a master class of the school, the grade, and then there's the separate unit. Then there's a mommy group for those other mommies. It's insane, the amount of groups. But it keeps you like up to date of what's happening and people's concerns or activities that are happening. So it is cool. I do like it, especially when there's like masala information coming in. Right. Then it's fun. I don't know, something like simple as the teacher wasn't doing anything, or there was this incident at school and you're reading about it. And obviously you have to ask your child if they're affected by any of this. And
do the kids come and tell you everything that happened at school?
My daughter's starting to do a lot of gossiping about certain students, which is, some are alarming because you want to hope that your own child's not going to be a part of this nonsense. And then some of it's funny. Like one kid in another class has a boyfriend already. It's a fourth grade. I'm like, okay, do you have a boyfriend, Nisha? She's like, no.
Do they ask you stuff about the LGBTQ group, and are they aware of, same-sex
So we've
preferences?
talked about different families for a very long time. Some families have two daddies, some families have two mommies, some families have one mommy or one daddy, and some families are like your mommy and daddy. So I think that it's really important to keep their mind open so that if they do see something, maybe not here in India, you don't see it so much, but we travel a lot. And if they see it abroad, it needs to be not like, oh my God, what are they doing? So we have to be okay with everybody's choices in life.
Now you're an entrepreneur, you have a production house, you have a perfume business, you've started a cosmetic line, and what have you. So my question to you is, does all this sort of stress you out? Like you mentioned previously that social media is great for branding, and I can see as an entrepreneur how important social media is for you to get a message across. I get that. But does it sort of take a toll on you? You have to play these, and women are always playing multiple roles anyways, mother, actor, this, that. So does it take a toll on you being an entrepreneur? And what's the best thing and the worst thing about being an entrepreneur?
No, it doesn't. I love it. And I think that India is one of the most amazing markets in the world. So literally anything that you could dream of, you literally can make it come true, which is amazing. And the worst part would have to be, I don't know what the worst part is. The best part is basically watching your business grow, whether it's you did better by 1 rupee 1 month or, crores, it doesn't matter. At least you're watching your business grow. I believe in steady growth and not, these big jumps of growth, because I feel like when you're steady, you're really just building a really good foundation. I guess the downside would be when you want a product to come out and it's not coming out fast enough. It's not happening fast enough.
What do you like most about acting? Like, what is it about the process that fascinates you? And secondly, culturally, is acting in America and acting here, is there anything sort of, is there different in the mindsets? What is different? And what do you like about acting?
I think it's the idea of going into a different reality of, that story. I like the whole process. The process for me is intriguing. And being challenged to do certain things and become something that I would never be on my own. And I think that's amazing, because I think maybe my life is maybe a little bit vanilla sometimes, and then, a film or a story or a song or, portraying something that would never be you in this magical story that someone's created. It's pretty amazing.
Do you still audition for roles, and do you feel like, oh my, I need some sort of speech therapy or acting classes, and you feel, so how do you go about it?
Auditions I'm completely fine with doing if, you know, somebody needs me to. I think it's a great way to know if you're fit for that role or not. And then, you know, like some films.
Have you lost out on films because of, say, your accent, or because...
I don't know why they would never tell you.
Okay.
Who's that honest?
But have you lost on, have you flunked an audition or something like you can share?
There have been a couple of auditions that I've done where it hasn't turned out into something, but I'm okay with that because that whole process, even if it's uncomfortable or weird or odd, you just learn something from it, unfortunately, good or bad. So for that, I'm okay with doing. And as far as the classes go, or an acting coach or a voice coach, dialogue coach, I'm completely open to that because I feel...
But have you sort of gone to any acting coaches?
Yeah, I have.
In India?
Yep, in India and in different languages. So one of the films that I worked on, I learned that entire script in a different language. I was very happy about that because the woman that I worked with, she was so amazing.
Which was this film?
It's called Shiro.
Okay.
And the woman that I worked with, she was so amazing by listening to what I was saying, be able to switch around a couple of words or change them so that the entire sentence would come out in a flow.
This is what language?
It was in Malayalam or Telugu. It was a little while ago. So it was amazing to work with somebody like that. And we worked together, you know, for a little while, which is great. And at the end of it, you feel very proud because you're like, all right, I acted through it and I learned it and did the monologue. It was amazing. So it was good.
What goes through your mind when you see your song clippings and your the numbers that you do? Is there anything that you say, wow, I could have done this differently, or this was not bad? How self-critical are you?
I'm very critical. I don't even watch my own interviews. I don't like watching, you know, like I'll watch the song and I'll watch the film once and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to watch it again because I'm going to rip it apart and wish that somebody would have said something to me or, you know, get frustrated. So I don't. It's easier that way. I figure if the director likes it, I'm going to like it.
Have you like lost out on, say, an A-list audition, or like you said, you know, there are camps and clicks? Have you reached out to directors and say, hey, you know, I'd like to work with you, and you know, maybe their prejudices or their perceptions have not, has that happened to you?
I don't know about the second part of your question, but I have reached out to many people.
And it's not worked out, or whatever. But more power to you. You're doing fantastically, and may your tribe grow. That's all I can say. And finally, what's the best and worst piece of advice you've got in life?
One of the best advice, and I'll relate it to here because it was given here, is this gentleman said, like, listen, you can't have one foot here and one foot in America. You need to decide. And it's such a simple thing to say to somebody. But for myself and Daniel, we have been going back and forth to America, to here, back and forth.
Because of your businesses?
Just because we just thought, well, we can just fly here, do the work, and go home. You know, like, what's the big deal? And it was in that moment that we both came out of there saying, it's time to move here. It's time to find an apartment, buy a car, have staff, you know, be able to be here 24 hours a day, all the time, make this home. And we didn't leave. Now it's like 15 years later.
And the worst piece of advice that you've got?
I mean, people always have their 2 cents that they want to give you, like, oh, why are you not doing this? And why are you not doing that? And I'm like, if it's not here, I can't do it. But it's more like, you know, the comments that sometimes you get, Are, you speak Hindi? I'm like, yes, I work in the Hindi film industry. Of course I speak Hindi. And it's like, okay, ab hum Hindi mein baat karenge. And I'm like, why does this have to be an announcement? I think that's like the worst thing you could say to me. Or the worst quote on top of that is, this film is going to change your career. And I'm like, are you serious? This is going to change your career or my career? Or the worst recently was a podcast was going to change my life and my career. And I was like, okay, this is great.
So we have a wonderful audience that's waiting to speak to you and ask you a few questions.
Okay.
So shoot.
Hi Sunny, I'm curious to know who the cool parent is between you and Daniel.
I am. I'm the cool parent. That's it. There's like no question.
Who's the good cop and who's the bad cop?
So we do good cop, bad cop. And I think it just depends on the situation and what offense has been committed. So if it's something like simple, then, he might say like, what are you doing? Like, just let it go. It's not a big deal. Or I'll say it's not a big deal. But if it's a major offense, we usually agree that we're both the bad cop in that situation and we don't agree with whatever that behavior is.
I love your photos on social media. Whatever you post with your kids, those are really absolutely lovely. I just wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite activities that you love doing with your daughter, Nisha? And what does your girly time with her look like?
So Nisha is not the girly type. Since she's come home to us, she was never the little girl who played with dolls and, did like these girly things. So what we would do is we would do art together a lot. We did a lot of things like that, making things, building things, painting, drawing, and that's, what we used to do. And then, we just went horseback riding together. So that was girly time. The boys were not invited. My boys were mortified. They're like, what? We're not allowed to come horseback riding? I was like, no, you're not. So, our girly time is very different than, some other girls out there.
Hi Sunny, so I love the travel photos that you put up with your kids and your husband. So tell us about one of your most recent vacation and the most recent memorable vacation actually, and why was it memorable?
We just came back from the US and it was Noah and Asher's birthday, and I was there for some work, and because 2 weeks is like an eternity when you're a parent, especially when kids are so small, that we decided to take them all with us, and it was Noah and Asher's birthday, so I was like, great, we'll all go. And I think that time that when we go with no help, no nannies, no drive, like everything that we get here is not how we live in the US. And it's nice, like Daniel drives, the kids are in the back, I'm in the passenger seat, and we'll go to different places, we'll go grocery shopping. I make the kids clean, they sleep in the same room, so they have to clean and make their beds, and it's such a amazing moment to spend when it's just us. There's no outside people at all, and it becomes very, very special.
Hi Sunny, so I have a question for you. You've been praised for your role in Anurag Kashyap's Candid. So how did things change for you as an actor, and were you taken seriously?
I don't know if I'm ever taken seriously, but I think it was a great learning experience for me, and I was very, very thankful to work with him. And he pushed me in a very different way, and he was also very open to letting me do my own thing as well, as long as whatever that message was got conveyed, which was really, really nice. And going to Cannes during the film festival for Candid was an unbelievable experience. One of the best experiences I've had in the industry was that week, which was it's like a different level of appreciation for films. And it's not like here, you go to the movies and you go, that movie was okay, I give it 2 stars, I did, it's not like that there. At the end of the film, people are on their feet, loving film and filmmaking. And, I think that we get lost in this world of judgment and then lose sight the artistry behind making a film.
Like I said, more power to you, and it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this.